everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the Alto again, and this time we return with Mike Orlando of Category 7, as well as Adrenaline Mob, Her Chariot Awaits, Solo, Tread. What else am I missing?
We just put out Sonic Universe with Corey Glover.
Okay.
Just came out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I knew I was like missing something. I like try to keep it. I was like rehearsing it, but thanks for coming back on the show, man. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, man. It's always an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always an honor to speak with you too. So we got pretty much, I would say, like one of the ultimate, if not the ultimate supergroups of Category 7, releasing the debut self-titled album. So first thing is always first. I got to hear this whole album. It is absolutely flawless from start to finish. But for people who haven't heard the album yet, do you feel like singles such as Exhausted and In Stitches is a good representation of this whole album, or is that just one little taste of what's to come?
Yeah, the album is it's diverse, but it's also, it's streamlined in our vision and sound of the band. It's got a cohesive sound and what we were striving for. In Stitches is just a come out of the gate kind of kick you in the face up tempo tune, but it's got a lot of twists and turns to it. So one of my favorite tracks. Exhausted is a much kind of bigger, just a big chorus and a little more streamlined, I think, as far as not fast paced and, more hard rock maybe. Everybody labels things so many different ways. To me, it's just music, man.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I know there's so many genres and so many things, but I just look for a great kicking tune and something that's heavy and pulls you in. So for me, I think these tracks pull you right in.
Yeah, they most certainly do. That's sort of like my review of the album. With the formation of this group, because having John from Armored Saint and Phil from his history with Machine Head and playing with Carrie now and so much, and Jason from Overkill and Shadows Fall and so much, and of course your prolific history and everybody else's. Were you all kind of like trying to combine forces and sort of like take in little snippets of previous projects and combine them into one, or were you all trying to maybe like explore different uncharted territory that you never explored before in another project?
Like you said, there's so many incredible talents and legacies in this band, from everybody. What these guys have done is incredible. I think it was more of, it started with me and Phil, with the idea, and we talked about it at the end of his tenure with Machine Head. And we've always been friends. So since back, we would do this Randy Rhoads Remembered shows together, and we hit it off. So yeah, we always wanted to do something together. And I think as far as the sound, there wasn't much like, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. It was really just like, hey man, I know Phil was like, I love old Van Halen and old Pantera, that's how it started off, stuff like that, like the grooving kind of stuff. And I'm like, absolutely, but there was no like written path to it. We just started, we got in a room, he was, I think he was filling in on that Overkill tour. And we met up at the hotel and just brought some guitars and amps and tracks, like a ton of stuff, riffs and everything. And I would go home and complete the stuff into full songs, or just write songs myself for it once we got going. It was just, what came out, man. We did the music first, and then it was like, then we got John. And when John was on board, it was, for me, it was like, once I had that in my sight, that it was John Bush that was the singer, it was simple for me to write to John, because I'm such a fan. He's
between Armored Saint and Anthrax to have, and his, seeing him perform with Metal Allegiance, like the dude, I know I'm gonna get hate for even daring to compare him to the All-Might, but like he really is, after Bruce Dickinson, I think is in that range of just vocal capabilities, diversity, intense lyricism, and performance. I just think he's on that level.
I absolutely agree 100%. And I wouldn't even compare them because they're so different. And that's the one incredible thing Well, there's not one incredible thing. There's many incredible things about John Bush, but one of the greatest things is that nobody sounds like him. No, he just carved his own niche in this in our world of metal and hard rock, and remains there. You know, kind of like the king right there of that. What he does, you know, it's hard to explain, but he just has such an original style and such an original flair. The way he writes, the way he sings, his lyrics. It's just, you know, I'm not saying anything that everyone else doesn't say about John.
Yeah.
You know, he's just, he's amazing,
Yeah.
you know, in many different ways. And for the writing, it was just like, once it was in my sight, being such a fan of his, but not wanting to do anything that he did in the past. I didn't want to mirror certain, you know, aspects of what he did in the past. It was just, hey, let's just be fresh. Let's just make some great music, some heavy music, some grooving music, some big choruses. You know, we did consciously make sure that we, as songwriters, myself and Phil, made room for John, you know, and not make it too. If you listen to Exhausted, there's a huge chorus. The chords are just ringing out, and it's basically just saying, "Here you go, man. You know, have a pleasure writing to this. We don't want it to be like you're writing over, you know, incredibly hard parts, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If that makes sense,
Yeah.
you know.
And then writing with Phil Demmel, I mean, both of you really know how to bring different riffs and different solos together. When it came to writing with Phil, because I feel like you both are able to achieve technical proficiency. I mean, this record is a testament to that. But like, do you being that you also played with different projects, how was it? You know, did you almost like have to change tuning, change effects, change rigs, or like really like was collaborating with each other, almost like maybe relearning your instruments in a way?
You know, it was just, again, there was no, you know, real, just grabbed a guitar, just went. Tuning wise, I mean, we knew that the band tunes standard half step down. Sometimes we drop tune. There's not much to that. Maybe there's one tune on the track, on the album, sorry, that might be a whole step down. I don't think so. But as far as I know, it was the basics there. And no, it was really just a matter of like, let's just combine our writing, you know, ability and what we bring to the table. Phil has got some crazy riffs and, you know, heavy stuff, where I'm the hard rock guy, I think, maybe, and go for the bigger riffs or open choruses. But like for instance, in Stitches, was a song I crafted, and then I give it to Phil, and he hands me back this insane. We come up with this insane middle section. So that whole middle section is just Demmel going crazy, and it's just like, damn you! I gotta learn this thing, you know, because that whole middle section is pretty crazy in the timing as well. If you really break it down, it's got some cool stuff to it. So yeah, that's the fun of it, man. Yeah. Is just combining styles.
And then of course we gotta pay tribute to the epic rhythm section of having Jack from Exodus, and of course Jason with, you know, I'm a metalcore guy. Like metalcore has always been my thing. So Jason's history with Shadows Fall, I'm already biased towards. That's my favorite. No, I'm kidding. But like, you know, but also playing with Overkill as well. So having Jack and Jason in the rhythmic section. Like, I mean, like, for you, how is it with John, Phil, and yourself with your riffs and your vocals keeping up with somebody who really know how to bring pure, relentless speed?
You know, I was a Shadows Fall fan way back in the day. I wore my hoodie forever. Yes. Jason is one of the greatest drummers in the world, and I've been honored to play with a lot of great drummers. And Jason, wow, you know, he really just takes it to. He's just got his own level that his thinking and his capability of writing to the song and just everything. It's not just, I have the greatest chops, you know. It's what he does with them, and it's just so precise yet fluid, and everything you would want in a drummer. And Jack is the thunder. Jack is the thunder, just comes in and just, you know, we're tracking. Had a great time tracking, just laying down. He's got this crazy way of using all his fingers when he plays. So he makes it look so easy. Meanwhile, he's going.
I was getting when I saw Exodus, and I saw him play with Exodus. I was getting arthritis just looking at him. like how the fuck how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
I understand. Like people like to make jokes about bass players using picks or bass players in general. I mean, the hard times are brutal, but but like in thrash metal, like I could understand with having to keep up with the ripping style. Using a pick is almost mandatory, but like your fingers in that style, how do they exist still afterwards?
He makes it look so easy. It's just it's nothing for him. He's just kind of because he has just this precise way of doing everything. So it was great. For me as a producer and tracking everything down here and getting the guys down here and building it from scratch was just cool because man, I get that bird's eye view into every ounce of it, and it was just fantastic tracking with Jason and then bringing Jack down here and to do the bass. Really, it was just, man, watching these guys kill it. And it came together in such a great, cohesive sound. Nobody's just going off for the hell of going off. It really is, it's it's a well-oiled machine, this thing.
So one positive thing I have to say about this album is that, I always kind of, I don't want to say cringed or denounced, but like shred fests. Look, I like a great solo that could rip a bunch of shit, like by all means. But a great guitar solo doesn't necessarily always mean a great song. And you could shred circles all over the place, but to take a solo, put it in a composition and make it fit and have that hook. So I feel like that there is no filler guitar solo. It's not like a shred fest. It is a concoction of great songs together.
Yeah, man. For me, and you can listen to the stuff I've done in the past, even all through the Adrenaline Mob albums and or Chariot Awaits, if you listen to Sonic Universe, or even back to my solo albums, song is king for me, man. If you don't have a good song and people can't get into it, who cares what you're doing on it? I want you to pull me in with the song, and then just while I'm there, kick me in the face and don't let me go, as far as for a listener, you know what I mean? So I feel that the solo, yes, it should talk to you. It's a part of the song. So me and Phil wanted to make sure that it's just as interesting. If you listen to Exhausted, it's just me and Phil together in harmony, really driving that dual guitar harmony thing. And we're not going a million miles an hour. We start off with this really cool, beautiful harmonic octaves work in Exhausted, which, by the way, we just did a great playthrough, that Guitar World exclusive premiere yesterday. So you could really see me and him doing it live right there, screen, side by side. And yeah, man, it's part of the song. It's not just a solo. Yeah. I hate that. I love shredding, though. Don't get me wrong.
Look. I'm a big Animals as Leaders fan and Polyphia fan, where like the solo is the song, but there's still composition involved there.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Otherwise, what are we listening to?
Of course.
We might as well go listen to unaccompanied solos and enjoy that, because that's great too.
Or take a trip to Guitar Center and you can listen to all the solos there.
I haven't been there in a long time, but yeah, it definitely, because it's just too much.
Yep. Listen to "Sweet Child O' Mine," Half Step Out of Tune. It's like the city's. It's part of the. Actually, let's see if you could guess this. I like guessing this. The 5 forbidden S's on every guitar floor. "Sweet Child O' Mine" is one of them. Can you guess?
Let's see. "Stairway to Heaven."
Yep.
S's, huh? Oh man.
I'll give you a hint for one. This band was credited for killing our genre in the 90s.
Oh, God. Oh, that's... Wait a second. "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Yep. Very good.
Which are all... these are all great songs.
They're all great songs, but I can't go the rest of my life without hearing them.
All right, they are music store songs. Yes.
Yeah. "Smoke on the Water" and "Sweet Home Alabama" are the other 5.
Man. Classics, though.
Yeah, classic stuff. And I'll put "Slow Ride" by Foghat there as a bonus point because
Ooh, great song.
that solo out of tune is the one thing worse than listening to the Hell's Bells intro out of tune. So, but
Thank God I don't go to music stores that much, so I haven't been exposed. But man, I do know about it, and the joke about it.
fair enough. To anybody, for those on the guitar floor, we salute you. But
Oh, I agree 100%. They are the heroes of of selling our gear and stuff and getting kids involved.
But playing with different singers, because Corey Glover, a fantastic vocalist, is very different from John Bush. And, with her Chariot Awaits having such a distinct voice as well. And then as well as, with Russell and Adrenaline Mob, like everybody has different vocal ranges. So do you maybe adjust your tuning or maybe even your method of playing to sort of fit the singer?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. But you've just named such incredible singers that they can do anything. You're not really having to worry about tuning to them because they're all just so incredible. From Russell to Eileen and Corey and John. It didn't have to worry about that. I've always been honored and had the extreme pleasure of playing with such talent. Thank God. Yeah. It's been a blessing. So. No, that whole list, they could do anything.
But I feel like that there is, because again, you could test technical proficiency with how you play.
Yeah.
You could test with different rigs and knowledge and all this. But then there's also adaptability that I think is also something that.
Yeah, you're right. So the album that I had just put out with Corey Glover is a little different. It's bluesy, it's funky, it's a little, it's just a little different. It's not a hard rock album, although there are some heavy tracks. But I don't know if I would label it because not every song is like that. So yeah, okay. Maybe my sound might not have been as heavy, and you go to the single coil of a Strat and you kind of crank it through a Marshall and you get this different vibe. But it's still rock at the end of the day.
Yeah, I feel like with a guitar player, you can almost give them like a similar challenge, like what you would get in like Ink Master, where like today's test is a test on adaptability. You are to play with a completely different singer. Today is a test on on speed. You have to play alongside Jason Bittner.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, the drumming thing, because you brought up Jason, having played with Mike Portnoy, who's the greatest on the planet, and AJ Pirro and all these, Achilles Priester, and then Jason Bittner. My God, yeah, it is an extreme pleasure because they can do anything. It really is. It's more fun because it's just like we all have the technical ability, but it's like, hey, how do we use it in a musical way?
Yeah.
So that's what, for me, is what I try to go towards,
And then I have two more questions for you, and this is sort of like this is a new question. You're actually going to be the guinea pig I test this question out to. And it is testing between musicians and the listener. So for a music listener, they may not know about the recording gear, nor may not even care. They don't care about the rig or the tuning or they just enjoy the song. Now, for musician advocates, I'm looking at the arsenal that's behind you, and you clearly know a thing or two,
in front of me.
From listening to your album. So, what do you find a little more pressuring to make sure that the listener, who may not know or even care what guitar you're using, is enjoying the music?
Yeah.
Or do you find it more intimidating showing it to other musicians, where every single mistake that maybe a listener may not notice, or every single thing wrong with it, do you find that more I'll give you a parallel. Okay. So I'm a tattoo apprentice, right? Now, there are mistakes that can be made in tattoos that anybody who would get the tattoo, they may not even notice it. They don't know what a blowout is or what an inconsistent line weight is. But to other artists, they'll be able to shit all over it up one side and down the other. So kind of
Okay. All right, so there's two aspects of this question that I think, as far as there's performance and as if you hear something, and then there's production, because yes, I'm the guitar player in the band, but I'm also the engineer, producer, mixing master, engineer. So I do a lot of different jobs.
The Dr. Dre of the band.
which I love, and I wouldn't give it up sitting in front of my beautiful 60 channel Neve here, and it's just the world that I've always been in, and I love it just as much as guitar. So there's that two aspects, and no, I feel it doesn't intimidate me, and if someone makes a mistake, I have lots of bands in here, and someone will make a mistake, and I'll go, no, leave it. That was awesome. I don't care. It's different. It's original. And as far as, I always say this to people, as far as production of the sound, of the mix, or this and that, man, be different. I can't stand the 100 albums out that year where they're all mixed the same and they all sound the same. And I miss the days of just create music. If you feel good about it, put it out, and just hope that people enjoy it. That for me, that's a true artist, or the true aspect of art. You don't have to be an artist, so to say, but put something out, feel good about it. I always say try to be different. Mm-hmm. Don't mix something that sounds just like the other thing on the radio. Come on, man.
But my argument always is that different doesn't always mean good. Like at the same time,
right.
Because I'll give you an example too. I went to a jazz performance, and I'm putting that in quotes. It was, I'm just going to sound really freaking mean right now, but I don't care anymore. I don't give a shit anymore. But it was the worst thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Like, everybody was, and it was on purpose. They were calling it avant-garde, where everybody was out of tune. Yeah. There was like 21 instruments on there. They were all playing their own thing. Like, anybody, you could be as experienced of an engineer in music as yourself, or you could not know the difference between a woodwind and a brass to save your life.
I get it.
And
yeah, sure.
Everybody, first off, I think it was even terrible that they charged people to even enter that show. It was abysmal. And but they were calling it performance avant-garde art. Sure, it's different, but it's, I feel like that the whole subjective thing, that does exist, but then there is also objective criticism, and this was awful. Like,
I'm with you. That's an extreme thing. For me, it's like, if there are 20 songs on the radio and you listen for an hour or whatever, I just want to have some differences. I don't want to hear the same mix and the same production all the time. I love hearing just different things. I was just talking production-wise. If someone says, why isn't that kick sound like this? Or why doesn't that guitar sound like this? But because it's different music, and thank God it is.
Yeah.
So for me, as a producer and a mixing engineer, I like differences. I like mistakes. They're human. There's something in the playing when someone's tracking.
Yeah.
And us as artists, tattoo, anything, music, you put it out there and you hope people love it.
Of course.
But you got to stay original a little bit and try to carve a different path.
Definitely. Definitely. And then the final question I want to ask you is like a silly question. 9 times out of 10 when I ask anybody, especially a guitar player, how the making of a song starts out, 9 times out of 10 they said it starts off with a riff. Do you think we're ever going to run out of riffs one day?
I'm sure, but it goes back around. Maybe that one was done so long ago, and it's you change a note, years later. It usually does start with a riff. There are some that have started with some grooves or an idea or a vocal idea, and you kind of spin into that. But for me, I usually just sit down and write riffs. Hopefully we will not run out of riffs.
Well, that's when you put down the guitar and you bring out the harp, more strings to work with.
There you go. It's just that, you veer off to something different and then come back to it and you'll have a fresh look on it.
I've seen so many folk metal bands and symphonic metal bands, yet I have yet to see somebody bring out the live harp.
Through a Marshall. Come on. I mean, Eddie Van Halen did it with the piano.
You are a mad scientist when it comes to music. So, why Mike? It's in your hands now. Make this happen.
Duly noted.
Yep. Just try to remember me in the liner notes of that album.
Definitely, Alex Marshall.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. As always, always a great to discuss music with you. I always love hearing like the method behind the madness and hearing your intricate work. Is there just anything else with Category 7 you'd like to promote? Like I know everybody in the band is very busy with stuff, but is there a chance we could see like a performance or maybe even a tour with this project?
Man, we are absolutely going to hit the road and hit the globe and get around. We are coming out swinging. It's just when when the time is right. We have a lot of guys in different things, but there'll come a time where it's definitely Category 7 time, and we plan on touring everywhere. Our team, our management, our booking agency know that this is going out there. So wherever you are, we're definitely coming your way at some point. And everybody, just check out the album. I think it's an incredible collection of songs with incredible talent, and has nothing to do with that I'm in it or anything. I just think it's a great album.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, it's a great collection of heavy songs. I really think that everyone will enjoy it. So please check out Category 7.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Mike Orlando. Check out Category 7, the debut self-titled record coming out this July on Metal Blade Records. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.